All right. How about we start with fast introductions? Dan, let us start with you.
Yes. Yeah. My name is Tan Egeli. I'm a single family office from Istanbul, Turkey. I'm the first generation of the family office. Being an ex-investment banker for 30-some years, and the family office is up and running for 15 years, and focusing on impact investments, social responsible investments, and about that. So we'll talk about it a little bit more.
Sure. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Hello, my name is Eti Lazarian. I'm originally from Israel. I live in Atlanta, Georgia now. We are a single family office. We play with real estate. We have a lot of multifamily office, residential, commercial, hospitality. I have 3 beautiful girls. One of them is here today.
Where is she?
She's right here in the front row. Yeah. Nice to meet everybody.
Hi, and very interestingly, I'm a Palestinian, so I think it's always God's will for us to be one next to another. So I should be. Yes. Jerry, you've missed it.
I'm a troublemaker.
So my name is Maisa Baransi. I'm a Palestinian. We have a single family office. We have been operating business in telecommunication, communication, defense, and security. We operate in Palestine, Jordan, the UAE, and Iraq. We structured our family business office a few years back. I'm a second generation, and also my daughter is here, third generation. Welcome.
Can we raise our hand here?
And that's it. And I'll, thank you very much for having me, and I look forward for this panel. Thank you, Hassan.
Thank you.
I'm JD, based in California. We're a 3-generation family office, very heavy in the United States, commercial real estate, VC, PE stuff, banking as well.
Hi everyone, my name is Amit Jain. We are a family office based out of Mumbai, India. We have a team of 300 people who work for payroll, and we have all the businesses related to financial markets. We have an equity research entity. We have a family office. We have an investment banking arm, and some other services related to financial markets. That's what we are. Thank you.
Thank you, Florian.
Hello, my name is Florian Bollen. I'm German, and we've been watching how multi-generational wealth has been created in Germany over the last centuries, and it's mostly by bringing heaven to earth. And that's being done in Germany typically in form of a beer garden, which is a wonderful place where people come together across many generations and have a wonderful time. And that's something which is missing out in the rest of the world. So we embarked on the journey to recreating beer garden, young and urban, in derelict buildings in London, in different cities in Europe, to bring a beautiful place where people can come together, have a good time, and enjoy life.
Amazing. Thank you, Florian.
Hey everyone, my name is Anmol Goyal, and I'm part of GAC's multifamily office. We are 3 families situated between UK, US, and India. We invest across asset classes. We have our own investment banking arm, our own venture studio, our own VC, our own private credit arm, our own private equity, and our own hedge funds. And recently just started shifting our holding structure into UAE. So forthcoming March, I will be in UAE, becoming an Emirati resident here as well, like a few guys here on the panels, and super excited to be here.
Thank you, Anmol. Dan, you said you're a first generation, right? If I ask you today, in your opinion, what do you think is harder? Which is more difficult? Is it building the wealth or passing it to the second and third generation? What would you feel about it?
Continuity, yes. So great wealth is created by human beings and also destroyed. It's a very powerful statement, right? Because creation and also destruction, both are very human. So when we look at it, and if you look at the wealth as a number or a figure, then the vision is easily lost. So if we are talking about generational transition, I think you are required to have a long-term vision. And sometimes just focusing on numbers or other things limits your vision. So therefore, I think in order to have a transition between generations, one needs to change the way it looks at wealth. What I do is I define it a little bit differently. I call it the purpose capital. My capital is a purpose capital. It's not just wealth with numbers, but it's wealth with legacy, which can be transitioned much easier if you also have a family governance, not just corporate governance, but family governance. So we will talk about it a little bit more later, but for me, the importance is that we have seen many samples, regardless of geographical location, where even within the same generation, something is being created and destroyed. So it is important for us to get rid of the limitations and give a longer vision, which I believe, maybe because my focus is on impact investments, but which I believe is the purpose for your capital, which you can move on to your next generations much easier because you will be involving them in the structure as well.
All right.
That makes sense, but
Sure, fantastic. Ati, what do you have as safeguards not to destroy the wealth?
I think education. I think we are where we are because of the hunger, right? We came to America, we were hungry, we were trying to establish something for ourselves. It was about survival. We were trying to survive, and we were fortunate enough during what we've done to create this incredible wealth. I have this conversation with my daughter all the time. She's always telling me, my oldest daughter, she's always telling me, I'm worried I'm not gonna be as successful as you are. I'm not like you. I'm not gonna be like you. And I always tell her, you're you. You're amazing, you're you. You do you. You educate yourself, get financial education. She's in college right now. She's learning. We talk to the kids about prenups. We tell them how to protect themselves. We tell them that what they have is theirs. It doesn't belong to anybody else. And I think this educational part will help keep the wealth in the family.
Okay.
And governance, of course.
Fantastic. Education, JD?
So the biggest thing is invest in yourself. The most expensive real estate in the world, and there are studies have been done, is the graveyard. Woulda, coulda, shoulda, that billion-dollar idea that was never pursued. And the thing is that we get bogged down with money, this, that. But you think about the future, that's anxiety. You think about the past, that's depression. Live the moment. There's two things you cannot cheat in life. That's time and death. When you appreciate what you have, we live in great nations, great countries. Everyone has opportunities. And it's like the red car theory. When you buy a red car, all you see is red cars. Your brain plays tricks on you. So if you see problems, all you're going to see is problems. If you find solutions, you're going to find solutions. And with wealth is finding that happy medium. Invest in yourself. Fail faster. So it's all about you. Your biggest enemy is yourself. And just keep on investing, and opportunities will come. It'll follow you.
Thank you. So, Maisa, Ati, she said education. JD, he was talking about investing in yourself. You have your beautiful daughter here with us today, and let's say she doesn't want to keep this going on. She wants to find her own way in life and want to be out of the family. What would you do?
She has already chosen that, by the way.
She has already chosen that. Okay,
So
tell
yes,
us.
she
Take
is
us
a
through this
very
experience.
independent young lady. And but going back to the question, I think part of our journey as a family, and we were growing quite organically and quite quickly in Palestine and across the region. And one thing we had to really identify and highlight is try to separate between the business and the family. And one of the things that we feel as a family and what gets us together is our values, the love of each other. I'm the eldest among four, so I have 3 brothers and myself. And one thing has kept us together despite our differences, despite our style of leadership, etc., was always and is always our family value. And family value is making each one of us knowing that they are part of this family allowing them to dream, yet prioritize. Our prioritization is always the family before the business, and that's what I teach my kids. They know that they will always have that safety net of the family, yet they need to be out there, understand life, and they will always have us, me, their grandparents on both sides, and our wisdom, and that's what we always wish them for. She's always welcome to join. She would love to join. I keep telling her, wait, don't rush into this. It's not as beautiful as and amazing as it looks from the outside. The challenges are there, and you'll be the first one to know about them ASAP. But their life is their life, and our paths is one.
So no pressure, okay? Amit, so you come from the finance background, investing, and we know that in the investment world, things move very fast. So in your experience today, what destroys family wealth faster? Is it a poor investment decision, or is it poor communication inside the family?
I think both. Both are equally responsible for not making money for your generations. Because if you don't make a right investment decisions, I'm sure you're going to miss generational wealth which you have created. And of course, if you don't communicate rightly to your next generation, that's also a problem. Because we always seen there's always Gen Z in every generation. Now we talk about Gen Z, but in every generation you'll find a different generation which thinks differently and different ideas. So communication is the key. In fact, coming to your original questions, what is more important? What is more tougher? Is it to create a wealth or to pass on the succession of the wealth? I think both are also equally tough. Because creating wealth nowadays is getting tougher. If you really see S&P 500 or real estate market, every 5-year block, your returns marginally decreases with CAGR rate. For example, we invested 25 years back into real estate. We got almost 100 times return in 25 years. But I don't know, I'm still figuring out a way how I can create a next 100 times return on which asset class I can create it successfully. So because now it seems the world, whether it's an equity market or it is gold or it is real estate, everything looks fairly valued. There's nothing called undervalued in this world today, where we are standing now. So it's really difficult to find out the good ideas where we can have a sustainable wealth creation for us. So it's a challenge for us. Also, to pass on the succession of the wealth is equally challenging because generation always will have a mindset difference. They'll always have an ideology difference. They will have a behavioral difference. So how to cover up with the right communication is the key, and only successful families can do it in the longer run. That's what we believe in.
So let's see Florian, what is he doing?
I think it's in
No,
battle in the
Florian.
past.
So the question is to Florian. So what are you doing to pass this wealth to the second, third, fourth generation, and so on?
The interesting thing is actually that the idea to create these community centers, these beer gardens in the world came from my son. Yeah, and I think the most important thing, and I'm supporting it with all my passion, but the real passion comes from him. And if you have passion for something and you believe into something and you drive it, that's when you create wealth for yourself, but also for everybody else. But then I really think there's an interesting question of what is wealth. Yeah, and I think the most wealthy person on earth is somebody who can look back onto his life and said, I made the world a better place. Yeah, and I think these values are just as important as the monetary elements, which have to be there to keep it sustainable. But especially with AI coming up and the whole economic system being about to change, yeah, as long as you can provide something very substantial and something which makes people happy, and there's nothing more beautiful than to walk through one of our venues and see thousands of happy people having a good time, talking to each other, interacting. Tinder and Real is a name which came up for us. Yeah, look at it, and I feel wealthy in these moments, and that's real beauty which you can create.
Happiest moments, these are, yeah, I 100% agree with you. Okay, Anmol, do you think, so you are generation number?
1 and 2 together, so I'm 2.
You are 2, yeah. Okay. So let me ask you this then. Do you think that you are a better generation than your parents, or?
No, so I think for us it was a little bit different. So my granddad, he was ex-military man, and he came from an agriculture background.
And then my dad, he's 3 brothers, and then my grandma. So, you know, a few of them, but they were sort of taught education is the most important, right? And as part of that education, right, you need to ensure you make a strong foundation. So what my dad, my uncle, what they did super well, and I think it's the case for a lot of South Asian, Middle Eastern family, is they invested in real estate, they invested in land, and they invested in gold, right? Which is sort of the foundation of building wealth. Now, by the time it came to me, right, times had changed. So my thing now is, how do we go from that to the next level? So as I started coming in, then we brought in the private equity, the venture side, the tech side, and really sort of started doubling down on money, doing very bullish acquisitions, bringing other families with us, and growing the wealth together, which they did not have the idea or the experience to do, because their parents sort of taught them, like, these are the keys to building the castle, and then I had to then enter the castle and change it up. So do I think I'm better? I don't know about that. I obviously find my stuff cooler. Their thing was, how do we get it to the point where I can at least build something bigger, right? So they had to give me the building blocks to build it up, and then for me, to my kids, whenever that is, hopefully nothing soon, will be, how do, now that we've built it to this castle, right, this much bigger side, how do we then preserve it for an elongated period of time, which I think some guys here have done fantastically.
So I think your parents taught you diplomacy very well, and I think what you're saying is that you complement each other. No one is better. You're the first generation again, and at what stage do you think that a family business need probably to move from relationship-based decision-making to more structural system governance way of taking decisions?
I mean, they are already involved. I mean, since they could really understand what we're talking about. So I have 2 kids who are 20 and 21, and for the last 5-6 years, they've been listening to us. In the last 2-3 years, they had a say in it. So, of course, levels of decision making, but they're involved. Like some panelists also mentioned, I keep the family business, and business and family are 2 separate things. So for them to be part of a family, it's continuity, it's there. Business, no, that's why you have corporate governance, that's why you have professionals. The continuity is important there. As long as they are involved, they understand the vision, and they are a part of it, so they are not just told, but they also have a say. Their involvement is increased, and they are helping to build the vision, which will be transitioned to them at one point. I think that works, and that's very clear. So, I mean, in a nutshell, they're always being involved, and getting more involved doesn't mean that they will be working on the operational businesses of our holdings, but they will be always at the level where we make long-term decisions, with deciding on our purpose, because as I said earlier, I mean, for me, the importance is a purpose-driven capital rather than a number-driven capital. And because I think a capital should have 3 parts of returns. Yes, financial returns, that's sustainability in order to continue that, but also social and environmental returns.
Yeah. Thank you, Tan. Ati, from yesterday, I felt that you are a very emotional person. All right. And if I ask you today, what is the biggest emotional challenge when you face when you transition this wealth?
Emotional challenge. I think the beauty of what I do is I bring family to everything I do. So my kids, I laugh that my daughter could have been a property manager since she was 3 years old. I expose them to everything. They see everything. It was never, oh, this is mommy and daddy conversation. You cannot be part of the conversation. I am a very tough negotiator. I can negotiate very tough deals. And I have 3 daughters, and they have seen me in a boardroom in real estate, it's a world of men, right? So it's always me. little old me and 15 other guys in the room, and I negotiate very tough deals. And I think it's a huge learning moment for girls and for female in particular to see how a woman, a strong woman, can stand in front of a man and get what she wants. Even though she has to bend a little bit, usually in negotiation, not all sides get what they want. But I think that was the strongest educational moment I gave my children.
Amazing. Thank you,
Yeah.
Ati. JD, how do you stop a family business from becoming too risk-averse after success?
It comes down to work ethics. You know, you gotta clean toilets. You gotta know what's rock bottom. You know every job, because the thing is, money. What happens? It defines you. Money is a tool, and what happens is with money, you gotta use it as a tool. And so for us, is you gotta know work every job, and you know every successful person has failed. Elon Musk was drinking orange juice and living on the couches. Howard Schultz, the guy who started Starbucks, was homeless. And you just got to move forward and just try everything. So, yeah, in general.
Thank you. Maisa, I have a question about the most common governance mistakes family businesses do, maybe too late.
I think I'm going to say two things. First of all, I'm going to answer a bit of what the first question was given. I think the main thing, if you want to make sure you want to leave a legacy and not a zero legacy, is to understand that you want to leave a legacy. And then understanding that, knowing that it is not an event. You don't just decide that you want to pass on this legacy. It's a process, and it's a very long process. It's a very tough process because you have to know when to ask the right questions, what to ask. And another thing is communication. You must continue with communication. Even if you fail, it's so important to share it with your kids because every failure is a lesson to you and to your kids or from your parents. This is another thing. And regarding governance is actually having it. I think we as a family business and growing, we've been in this business for 40 plus years now, understanding that you have to professionalize your business and that your son is your son, but also your partner or your CEO or your COO and your daughter is X. And I think understanding that relationship is really important. And that's why you understand that you have to start building and working on your governance. And another thing that I see many families do, and by the way, I tell everybody I do family business consultancy because I've studied it to help my family or to understand my family's dynamic and behaviors. And I do in-kind consultation to many of the family businesses that are mainly my friends. But it's understanding that when you structure and do the family governance, it's not only about the taxation and the legality of it. There is so many other steps there. You have to speak about retirement. When is the right time to retire? Who has the right for income? Are you doing inheritance? Are you, and rightly so, he said it twicely, about wealth succession. Because if you think of wealth inheritance, and that's where the division becomes. That's when your father has $1 million, and then the siblings have $500,000, and then the third generation, as they call them, the third generation, and the ones who destroy the wealth, which I very much disagree with, is how do you do this succession, in succession and not in inheritance? And these are the questions that I think that has to always be part of the family discussions, and having the guts to ask your father or your mother, and understanding, like, am I your partner or am I just one of your workers? Are you thinking of passing this family business, or are you ignoring that I left my life and I joined your business? And that's one of the reason I tell my daughter and my nephews and nieces, don't think of the family business as your next step. Do your own things and then come on. And again, we strongly believe that the wealth is created by family businesses and not only investment, although we invest in multiple verticals. But yeah, family governance is do it, have it, make sure you have your constitution, make sure you have, and make them read it. Like have a retreat, make it a story, do retreats and play with them so for them to understand how important these things are. And
This is before it's too late.
Always. It's never too late, by the way. Even if you've been there for 20, 50 years, you have to start somewhere.
Amit, where do you see families struggling most today? I mean, Maisa just touched on several points. Where do you see families struggling most? Is it in deal selection? Is it in governance? Is it in discipline?
I think because it all different region to region. For example, if we talk about India, where I hails from,
Let's talk about India.
India. So India, we focus on three things. Number one, we pass on right value system to next generation. Because we always believe we are a Marwari family based out of India. And our parents taught us that any wealth without right value system cannot sustain more than 2 to 3 generations. And if you really want to build a generational wealth for 10 generation, 20 generation, your succession has to be right in terms of your value system. Number one. Number two, execution capabilities. That you should have a strong execution capability. Whatever you are innovating, whatever your thought process are, you should be able to execute them well. That will probably take you higher. And the third and the most important is the discipline. Because you can create a wealth out of it. You can get a wealth out of your father and your parents or your grandparents, but to sustain that wealth, you have to have a right discipline. That's the most important aspect which our families focus on, in addition to right value system, what we pass on.
Awesome. Thank you, Ahmed. Florian, so now you're living in the UK or in Germany?
UK.
Now in the UK. Yeah, somebody's still there. Florian, today I can see in so many places, family offices are becoming more institutions, more than family, just family offices. Do you see this as the way forward? Do you see it should be somewhere hybrid? How these are developing next?
I think we're entering absolutely chaotic times, yeah, where things will be completely put upside down, yeah. And my wife speaks Chinese, and in China there's a lot of knowledge in every word which you have, and the Chinese word for chaos, I think that's a chaotic situation which we're seeing now. Actually, has two characters. One is danger, and the other one is chance. So it's a combination of danger and huge opportunities. And I think for families and wealth, that's a key for in the future, that you're open for the opportunities, but you have to be super careful about huge dangers which are coming up, which will destroy many very traditional ways of looking at things, and that the opportunities are 1 in 1,000, yeah, to get it right in these times. Yeah, whilst there are other areas where it's very solid and very stable, and you have to pick the right situations. But I think at the moment it's very tough to predict anything, how to run anything properly, because things will completely put upside down. That's my personal opinion.
Thank you, Florian. Ahmed, I still have 2 minutes remaining, and if I would ask you to give an advice for the final generation now, same your category. If you want to talk to Eti's daughter or Maisa's daughter and give them an advice, what would it be?
I think. No, I think the first thing I would say is I'm no one to give advice. I don't want to sort of make myself as the advisor, because the one thing.
No, I mean, given your experience.
Yeah, I'll come to that. It's basically sometimes you get pushed into things, right? Or you sort of have this expectation that, mum is doing that, dad is doing that, so I have to take over. So I think you need to take yourself out of that burden to begin with, right? And then it's also advice to the first gen or the older generation here is, don't sort of try and force your kids into that sort of stuff. Let them be molded. I think Eti said a great thing about exposure. I think one of the things I would definitely tell my gen is get exposure, get exposed to everything. The good old saying is you don't know which fruit you like until you've tried them all. So definitely go to meetings, go to conferences, see other opportunities, try what you like. And try and learn the way of business rather than the business itself. And what I mean by that is see how your parents command the room, see how they talk, see how the other people in the room, they command leadership, they command that respect. Because learning business isn't hard, right? What we do when it comes to sort of buying and selling and acquiring, that's not hard. Anyone can teach you that. But that charm of business, that negotiation ability, that ability to lead, that hunger, right? That doesn't come. You can't teach that. You either have it or you don't have it. So if you have it and then you want to pursue it, then I think it would be a great opportunity to learn from your parents, learn from the people around them. And also another thing that I would love, and it took me a while to gather, was like, learn to listen more than you talk. As you know, in my teenage years, I would always think I'm the right one. You know, I got into blockchain very, very early, right? At 17, I built my first company. My second company at 19, I sold it by the time I was 20. And JP Morgan hired me as one of the youngest hires. So I thought I was top of the world until I wasn't, and you know, went through some hardships. So definitely learn to listen more.
I love it. I love it.
In fact, I can add something what Anmol said. I said, you should try everything what you wish to, but you should do something which is good for you, for your family, and for your country. You should try everything for sure.
Thank you.
And I think another thing, I think we, as a second generation or the older generation, we need to listen and understand the younger generation. I think this is the biggest mistake where we think that we know better. I think having them and involving the younger generation, it will always make us smarter as well. Maybe not the wisdom, but smarter.
I think I
definitely.
can take this conversation more like 2 hours, and I really loved it. You were fabulous. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.